afternoon. Okay, so welcome back to our spreadsheet series. Okay, I don't know exactly how many more weeks. Yeah, you know that we'll be able to learn this stuff, but I try to cover as many spreadsheet feature as I can. In as little time as I can. Okay, but anyway, welcome back to our series. And last time we were talking about the feature and the top feature provided by the spreadsheet. And from this point forward, whenever that I mention spreadsheet, I mean Google Spreadsheet or Microsoft Excel. Okay, I use this interchangeably. Okay, because I feel like for the most part, the 80% feature, that's the 80% of the basic functionalities between the two are basically the same, right? Of course, Microsoft Excel is required that you have a paid licensing, so they provide you, more fancy graph, more, polished and visually appealing, But you know what? If you don't have the financial components, you might as well just start it out with the free version of Spreadsheet, which is provided by Google Spreadsheet. They are just as powerful, okay? And the fact that it's free is kind of like Google ways of saying, you don't have to worry about the financial components of it. Just kind of like just focus on learning, the spreadsheet, learning the skill, which is more critical, okay? And trust me, take my word for it. Sometimes you don't have the money. You don't have to spend time trying to figure it out, going around to see can you go about get away with licensing and go about getting the product keys, cracking the code and all this stuff. It's not worth it. Okay, even in the short term, let alone long term. So it's not really worth it. Take my word for it. Okay. Just get the free version. It is legal to use and it's open for everybody, like me and you. Okay. I mean, now up until this point in my life, I'm still using. I still have to rely on this open source, software to do a lot of stuff, right? I just don't have that fancy budget to afford the software. Okay. So I'm, for one, I'm personally grateful for all this stuff. And you know what? Without this kind of stuff, I probably would not have learned a lot of stuff. Okay? So anyway, let's talk about, spreadsheet. Okay? So from now on, when I say spreadsheet, I refer to both Google Spreadsheet and Microsoft Excel. Microsoft Excel is a desktop application, right? You install on your laptop, on your computer, whereas Google Spreadsheet is a web-based application, which means that you have to have the internet connection and require that you have an account. But the application is not installed, it's not running, from your laptop. It's actually running off the Google server, okay? So, and you don't have to worry about upgrading, updating. The application is all done, on their end. Okay. So, spreadsheet is all about data, right? And when it comes to data, there's pretty much two things you can do with the data. It's just formatting the data. Another way to say formatting the data is just how to present the data, make your data look nicer. In terms of like putting some color, some style into it, right? That's what it is. And the second thing when it comes to data is do some calculation with your data, processing your data. You do calculation with your data, either using a manual calculation or using a pre-built formulas. That's all it is, right? So it's pretty straightforward. So today, let's actually take a look at data entries, right? I mean, when first of all, let's try to see, the Google Spreadsheet and Microsoft Excel is different pretty much for the beginning, that's all. Because one is a desktop, the other one is web-based, and the way that the file is created. Okay, for the Google Spreadsheet, you can create the file different probably in different ways. One way for you to do it is basically just go to drive.google.com, right? It's required that you have a Google account. If you have the Google Workspace account, that's even better. Okay, go there, and then just once you get into the folder, the destination folder that you want to save your file, just right click, just like on the laptop, you right click on it, and then it probably give you the same. You can create a new folder, you can create a different document type, right? Google Doc is the same way as it's the same thing as Word document. Google Sheet is kind of like Excel, right? Google Slide is kind of like Google PowerPoint. That's all. Okay, so just created a Google Sheet, right? You know, when you create it, a Google Sheet, this is our goal. Remember that this is our goal. That um, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks ago when I told you that I was reading stuff online, and then I saw an ad running horizontally, and I feel like, hey, I want some kind of like project management, and they say that they have an add-on, the timeline feature add-on for the Microsoft Excel. So if I click on that, and then I download the sheet, and you know what, the way it looks is so nice, and then I like the template feature. Say, I like that. And that's how it all started, with my curiosity, learning how to do this one. And then after that, of course, the idea come to my mind. I was thinking about, hey, when the weather outside is so cold, snowing, and I feel like maybe we can do something. That's how all this project idea started, okay? You can create it as many sheets as you want, right? Just say that you created sheet 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And remember, when a spreadsheet, the file is created, it's kind of like a notebook, right? It's a notebook, and it has a lot of sheet. It's the same thing, it's the same concept. A workbook is created, and then it has a sheet along with that, okay? And you can create it as many sheets as you want, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth, okay? Yeah. This right here, when you created a sheet, right? Let's say 5, and then you want to insert a table. You go to this insert, and they say preview table, and then choose a blank table, or you can choose any of this template already built, pre-built template. You know what? Chances are, whatever information you want to store into some kind of like structure, chances are you'll be able to find the templates already built for you. So you pick the one that actually closest to whatever you need to best match with your requirement, so you don't have to create everything from scratch, okay? But for our sake, we just go ahead and create the blank table, okay? Because that way we're going to do more customization in terms of formatting, and that way I'd be able to sort of like give you the demonstration of this thing. This things right here is this right here. It's just like Microsoft Excel. It's kind of like a ribbon section where you'll be able to find all the tools and other menus. Whatever you need to do, chances are it's around here. Okay, or if you cannot find what you're looking for, the number one tip is, the trick is just bring up the quick menus by right clicking it, right? You're gonna have that. Just right click on your right mouse click, right? This one, just go ahead and rename the task name, rename the columns name. Say task name, start day, end day, right? WBS, ID, so forth, honor, so on and so forth, okay? And then you can just format it, customize it using this sort of like tool, this menu right here in the ribbon section. Maybe the text color is, you want text color to be white, or you want text color to be, this one, and then you want this one to be this color, right? Maybe I want this one a little darker, right? Yeah, it's kind of like that. If you don't want it, you can undo it by doing a Control Z. Okay, just tab name. Let's say that you want this one to be blue, right? And then you want text to be maybe black or something. Well, black doesn't look good. Just Control Z. Okay, just Control Z, and then try to data entry. Enter the data just like how this shit, right? Okay. And I'm going to do the screenshot of this one. I put a link to the file that actually have the picture and the screenshot of this table. So that's where you'll be able to enter data as appear, and then try to customize and format it just like how it looks. Okay? This one right here, you just bold it, right? Pretty much just like Word documents, okay? Same thing. It's only different, especially from the beginning when you create a file. After that, the menus is pretty much the same. And you customize that, and then this is called a cell, and then this is called a range of cell. And you can select the range of cell by just select on one cell, and then just hold down on the Shift key, and then just click and drag. Okay, that's a range of cell. Those are just sort of like a basic terminology and basic anatomy of Excel. Why you need to know the basic anatomy, what it's called, because later on, if you want to implement a feature and you were to look for how to do that, and when you find, certain people that explain it, okay, this is, you do this, do that, step by step, when they say that, you know exactly what you need to do, okay, because chances are, you're not going to learn Excel or spreadsheet, right from any single book or from any single source. You're going to run into things that you have not learned it before, but that's how you'll be able to learn and go about learning stuff on your own. You know enough terminology, you know enough anatomy, and then when people explain it to you, step by step, you know exactly what you need to do. Okay? So just go ahead and create, and then this is how whenever you see an arrow, that's kind of like spend time playing around with that, sort of like exploring stuff. Okay, just play around it. You can rename a table, all this stuff, right? I'll right click, bring up the quick menus. Okay, whenever you see this one, go to any menu, right? Or any sort of like vertical three dots menu, click on this to see what's available, right? Play around with it, learn it. Okay, but I'll go for this week. Sort of like our subtask for this week is try to learn how to format, the cell and the range of cells on the table. Okay, and play around with your sort of like all the tools available in the ribbon section. Okay, that's our tool. So again, spreadsheets is all about data, and when it comes to data, there's only two things that you can do: format it, make it look nice, in terms of like font size, font style, coloring, how to present stuff. And then the next thing, which is more important part, is how to process the information, how to do calculation with it. You can do calculation in two ways: either manual formulas, manual calculation, or you can use a pre-built formulas, right? It's already built-in formulas. Okay, so that's pretty much for this week. And make sure that you're gonna do the readings. I'm gonna put the links to the reading, to the quiz, and to the exercise. Very important. You have to do the exercise to kind of reinforce what you learn. Okay, because you learn by doing it, and by doing more and more, and that's how you get better. Okay. That's how a certain skill internalize into your brain, you know. And I learned spreadsheet that way too. It's not like I'm taking some officially formal Excel course or spreadsheet course. No, I basically just learned it's kind of like a goal-driven approach, right? I say, I'm taking some courses in business management. I'm taking some courses, or even, in my real life, I want to solve something. How do I do that? So that is a feature. It's a feature-driven, goal-driven task. That's my approach. I'm not taking any official formal. It's the same way, with this project. I started out with I'm just sort of like reading stuff. I spend like, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, 50 minutes, reading news. And then I see something, I click on that, and I got to know this spreadsheet document, and I feel like, hey, it looks nice, I want to see that. Oh, and then there has the template feature. I always want that, but they actually available for free to say, hey, I can do that. And then I learned how to implement that stuff. At that time, when I downloaded the spreadsheet, I don't know how to implement it, right? But I keep coming back to it and figured out, how do I do this stuff? And then after 4 or 5 times, 3, 4 weeks, I'd be able to learn how to do that. And once you learn how to do certain things that you always wanted from the beginning, you feel like it's easy. But at the time when you don't know how to do it, it's hard. Okay? So make sure you do all of this stuff. I put links to all the reading, the quiz, and the exercise. And I try to come up with. I do more research to sort of like provide you reading and the exercise that help you to learn this stuff. Okay? Until next time, and I see you next time. Okay, I don't know how many more weeks, but I try to cover as many spreadsheet feature as I can. Okay? Thank you so much, and I see you next time. Okay?